Hi guys, in this episode of Shri series, we're going to be talking about simplifying complex index law questions, alright? Now, I mentioned before in the previous videos that you will be getting questions where you need to apply more than one or even two laws of indices in a particular question, alright? And when we work through these questions, we need to go through a step-by-step process and procedure to get to the answer. Right now, if you've looked at also my past videos, we looked at the laws of indices. We went through some questions that talked about the law of indices. All right. Today we're now going to be applying questions where you've got 3 or 4 laws present here. Okay. Now, if you look at the first question here, what I'm going to do is I'll just read it out. P to the power negative 2 q, the whole thing to the power 4, 5p to the power negative 1 over q3. So that's over 5p to the power negative 1 q3 times, all in brackets, p to the power negative 2 over q to the power 3 and all brackets to the power negative 3. All right. Now, we talked about how negative indices work. All right. We're going to be looking at how we apply these questions in the context. Okay. Now, out of top of my mind, let's look at the laws that we talked about. All right. If you remember the bracket law, which is a to the power m to the power n, that's the same as a to the power m times n, which eventually becomes a to the power mn. All right, so we're going to be using that rule here. Let's recall another example. Suppose you've got a to the power m over a to the power n. That's the same as a to the power m minus n. All right, we're going to be using that law as well. Another example, suppose you've got a to the power m times a to the power n. That's going to be the same as a to the power m plus n. All right, so we're going to be using these rules and apply in this question. Okay, so let's look at how we will tackle this question here. All right, so what would I do? The first thing I need to do is I need to work out what I can do in the brackets. I've got p to the power negative 2q, the whole thing to the power 4. All right, what I now need to do is I can multiply negative 2 times 4. So that's going to be p to the power negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. And q to the power 4. All right, so that's what we get there, over 5 p to the power negative 1 q to the power 3 times, we now need to do exactly the same. Now, if you look at this bit here and this bit here, you can see that you've got a bracket in the numerator for the first one. All right. Now, if you look at the second function, you've got your numerator and denominator all in the same brackets to the power negative 3. Now, this is very, very important. So please note down what I've done here is that in the first one, I simplified to the power 4 and didn't do anything below here because the brackets only apply to the numerator. Whereas if you look at the second one, you actually have the numerator and denominator, all of it's to the power negative 3. So it's very, very important to understand that. Okay, now if you look at this rule, negative 2, the whole thing to the power negative 3, you're going to multiply negative 2 times negative 3, which is a positive. Because when you multiply two negative numbers, you're going to get a positive number. That's going to be 2 to the power 6 over q to the power 3 to the power negative 3. That's going to be 3 times negative 3. So that's going to be q to the power negative 9. So you can see I've used the law of indices to get to that point here. What do we do in a situation where now you need to multiply here? We need to simplify that. All right. Now I can see I've got p to the power negative 8, q to the power 4 times p to the power 6. Because we're minusing, that becomes p negative 8 plus 6. So that now becomes p to the power negative 8 plus 6 q to the power 4 over 5 p to the power negative 1 q to the power 3 and q to the power negative 9. We simply add the power. So that's going to be q to the power 3 plus negative 9. All right, now we're going to be working through this way, so we've got enough space there. Now p to the power negative 8 plus 6, that's now going to be p to the power negative 2 q to the power 4 over 5 p to the power negative 1 q to the power negative 6. So it's really important that you're very familiar with adding numbers which have negative values, or to be more specific, laws of integers as well. What happens when you add two negative numbers, or what happens when you have a negative and a positive number? All right, so I'll repeat this step. P to the power negative 8 plus 6, because that's the same power, same base but different power, so negative 8 plus 6, so that's what I've done here. And then q to the power 4 remains the same. I've got 5p to the power negative 1, q 3 and q negative 9, so I'm adding my powers, so that's q 3 plus negative 9, and that becomes p to the power negative 2 q to the power 4, 5p to the power negative 1 q to the power negative 6. All right, what do we do from there? All right, what do we do from there? We can now simplify this a little bit further, and we can say p, that now becomes p negative 2 minus negative 1, because 2 minus 1, and that's going to be q negative 4 minus negative 6 over 5. So you can see what I've done is I've used the division rule of indices, where you subtract my powers. So p and p, negative 2 minus negative 1, q, actually that is 4 minus negative 6. So eventually what that leads to, all right, I'm just going to move that there and work through here. So p negative 2 minus negative 1 becomes p negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1, and q 4 minus 6 becomes 4 plus 6, q to the power 10 over 5. Okay, that's how we work through this question right here. Okay, so our final answer therefore becomes p to the power negative 1 q to the power 10 divided by 5. All right, so what do we do there? If we go through this step by step, what we did was we expanded, so p to the power negative 8 q to the power 4 over 5p to the power negative 1 q to the power 3, which sorts that out. The next one is p to the power 6 q to the power negative 9, that sorts that out. And then what we do is we here add the powers, p negative 8 plus 6 q to the power 4, 5p to the power negative 1 q to the power 3 plus negative 9. We move over here, p to the power negative 2 q to the power 4 over 5p to the power negative 1 q to the power negative 6. What do we do there? We get the p's, use the law of indices, negative 2 minus negative 1, q 4 minus 6, and that, if we move over here, becomes p to the power negative 1 q to the power 10 over 5. All right, so that's how we work through this question. Okay, now let's look at another question. All right, now if you look at this question, we've got a division. All right, so what do we do there? I'm going to read this question loud. 2m to the power 3 over r squared n to the power negative 4, the whole thing cubed, divided by 5m to the power negative 2 n to the power 3 over r, the whole thing squared. So what do we do now? We work out what's in the brackets. So 2m to the power 3 to the power 3, that's the same as 2 to the power 3, which is 8. M to the power 3 to the power 3 is the same as m to the power 3 times 3, which is 9. Over r squared to the power 3 is 2 times 3, which is r to the power 6. And n to the power negative 4 to the power 3 is n to the power negative 12. All right, so if you were to ask me what rule are we applying, it's the same rule that I wrote down before. A to the power m, the whole thing to the power n, is the same as a to the power m times n, which is mn. And that's exactly what we're doing in this question here. All right, now let's look at the division. So we put a division there. 5 m to the power negative 2 n to the power 3 over r, the whole thing squared. So that's 5 squared, which is 25. M to the power negative 2 to the power 2 is m to the power negative 4. And n to the power 3 to the power 2 is 3 times 2 n to the power 6. All right, we're just multiplying. And that's going to be r squared. So what we've done is we have now expanded what was in the brackets to the power. All right. In the past, I've seen students make mistakes. They're able to simplify m to the power 3 cubed, which is m to the power 9, but they forget to simplify the 2. So remember, you've also got to do that. So 2 to the power 3 is 8. And likewise, in this question, you can simplify m negative 2 to the power 2, which is m to the power negative 4. N to the power 3 to the power 2 is n to the power 6. And 5 squared, which is 25. All right, so it's really, really important to check through there. Okay, what do we do from there? Now, if you remember basic division of fractions, you convert that division to a multiplication sign and then you swap that. All right, so I'll explain to you what I mean by that. So that becomes 8 m to the power 9 over r to the power 6 n to the power negative 12. Multiply that and you swap. So you move that over there and you move this over there. That becomes r squared over 25 m to the power negative 4 n to the power 6. All right. And that's what we get in that situation. Right. Now, there's two ways of doing this. You can either multiply the respective numerators, so 8m to the power 9 times r squared, and also the respective denominators, which is r to the power 6 n to the power negative 12 times 25 m to the power negative 4 n to the power 6. All right, so let's see what happens when we've got that. So what's 8 m to the power 9 times r squared? So that's 8 m to the power 9 r squared divided by 20 r6, so which is r to the power 6. Now, if you look at n to the power negative 12 and n to the power 6, so that's n to the power negative 12 plus 6, because remember, when you're timesing those powers, you add them, and you've got 25 there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 25 there. So what I've really done is I've literally multiplied the numerator, which is 8 m to the power 9 r squared over 25 r to the power 6 n to the power negative 12 plus 6, and you've got m to the power negative 4. All right, now this looks complex, but what we're literally doing is we are simplifying this. All right, so let's write this down. Let me simplify this. You're going to get 8 m to the power 9 r to the power 2 divided by 25 r to the power 6 n to the power negative 6 and m to the power negative 4. You know, that's literally what we're doing. All right, because negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6. So that's n to the power negative 6 and m to the power negative 4. What do we do from there? All right, you got to remember we need to simplify because we've got the r above, r squared, in your numerator and r to the power 6 as your denominator. You've got m to the power 9 in your numerator and you got m to the power negative 4 in your denominator. All right, so let's look at which ones we need to simplify. All right, so I've ticked one, the red ticks for the m and the blue ticks is for the r. So what do we get there? All right, what do we get? So that's going to be 8m 9 minus 4 and r squared minus 6 divided by 25. All right, so what I've now done is I've simply used the rule of division of index powers where you subtract my powers. So you're going to get 8 m9 minus 4 and r2 minus 6. All right, so that's actually minus 6, not minus 6, because you got a 6 there. And what do we get from there? That's going to be 8 m to the power 13 r to the power negative 4 divided by 25. All right, you can even further say that's 8 m over 25 r to the power 4. Okay, so you can either leave the answer like that or you could leave the answer like that. All right, you get to those answers. So if you look at this question here, you can see we've been applying 2 or 3 laws of indices in this question. And if you want to solve complex questions like this, you need to apply at least 2 or 3 laws or rules to get to the answer. All right, so if you look at the first one, what do? We expand the bracket, so that's 8 m to the power 9 r to the power 6 n to the power negative 12 divided by 25 m to the power negative 4 n to the power 6 divided by r squared. Convert the division to a multiplication and you swap, and then you're going to get 8 m to the power 9 r to the power 2 over 25 r to the power 6 n to the power negative 6 and m to the power negative 4. All right, and then you simplify your brackets there, and you're going to get r 2 minus 6 here. So I just want to check through again. Like I said, we also make mistakes. So you're going to get r squared divided by r to the power 6. So that's going to be r2 minus 6, which is r to the power negative 4. And then you're going to get 9 minus 4, which is 13. So please be mindful of your powers as well. When you got minus and minus, that becomes a plus. All right. So this is how we work through complex index law questions. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye now.